Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful, hope with pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
And more.
And more. Okay. So, Locke, today I want to get into a topic. It's latching on to identities. Now, when I say that, I mean as far as like they're big highlights on like social media and what have you. It's like this certain identity that you adapt to yourself, to make you feel like you're as if you're a part of something bigger than yourself. Like okay, so the things I commonly see, right, is people that latch on to ADHD. So that's a big one. Veganism is another big one. This whole nerd culture, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And we have politics, just to name a few, right? So what I mean by this is like if we consider the first one I said, like ADHD, right? It's like people, people that get diagnosed with ADHD or they start begin to suspect that they may have it, or other people that have ADHD or diagnosed with ADHD that suspect that someone might have it, and they let them know, they fill them in on it and what it entails. And a lot of these people, they latch onto it, right? Where they're like it makes sense, I have this quote unquote condition, whatever you want to call it, and then all of a sudden it becomes their entire personality, right? Where they all of a sudden they have an excuse for everything, right? And then they feel like they're on this sort of pedestal, I guess, if you will, where they look at other people and like if other people say something negatively about this, like some little facet of their condition, right? Then they feel like they're in a place where they can speak down to that person who said something negative about the condition, like be like, I can't believe you're so, you know,
Insensitive?
and yeah, insensitive. Sure, let's go with that word. So like it's the same thing. Like if you were to consider like veganism as well. Like oh man, like that one. Like I have no problem with the concept of veganism. It's
Wouldn't you make it
it's a
your whole
lot.
personality? That's
Well, it's the vegans, right? Not all of them, naturally. It's just like some of them, the ones that feel like they hold themselves to the certain standard where they could feel like they have the right to patronize you for thinking differently or behaving differently than they do, right? And that falls in line with like a lot of other things, like this whole like like nerd culture. It's the same way. Like if you're like a nerd and you have all this knowledge on this fictional world, let's say, and then you have somebody else who's like just getting introduced to this world, and is this person that was just fresh to this fictional. Let me emphasize the fact that it's fictional, and they're just getting introduced to it, and like they try to like ask a certain question, or they have like a certain way that they see this topic pertaining to this fictional world, and then these like hardcore nerds are like gall, like like scoffing at these people, like you're such a poser or something like that. Like it could be of any facet of nerdism. It could be anything. You'll always have those people that just scoff at and try to patronize these people that are less knowledgeable than they are. It's like there's all these different things. Yeah, and it's like I'm wondering why people latch on so heavily onto these different identities. Yeah. So instead of having this individualism, this you know, this unique sense of self, right? And your own personal interests, and keeping those cards close, and not having your understanding of everything, manipulated by the masses. Yeah, instead of having that, you fall into this identity, which is like, whether it be ADHD, veganism, nerdism, politics, whatever it may be, that is constantly being manipulated by social media, and like your stances on things and what you know about things, all this hearsay and or what have you, like these things that are pointed out, and if you think any differently, then you're scoffed at, or you're humiliated for, any number of things, where it forces you to have, and you want to be within this community. So obviously, most people, we're social chameleons, right? Where we have to try to find a way to fit in. And the only way in which to do that and fit in with these certain groups, these certain factions, is to, change the way we think, or what we believe, so that it falls in line with the masses. It's something that I've always thought was like a little ridiculous, right? Like, especially when you have conversations with these people, and that's all they, that's all they talk about constantly, and it's absolutely insufferable, and it feels like you're not gaining anything of import, like whether it be like knowledge or experience or anything. Like you have these conversations, and like nothing about it is fulfilling to you personally, because it's the same thing over and over again.
Right. They feed you the same rhetoric, and you're like, You
Exactly.
almost can predict what exactly they're going to say, when they're going to say it. It becomes old hat.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, why do we fall so easily into these factions? Is it solely because of social media, do you think? That all these, we all know that these social media outlets, they have these little algorithms or whatever, like they see what you're interested in, what you're clicking on, and then they feed more of that to you constantly, and like it's just always flooding in, until like all of your free time that you spend on social media and whatnot, that's all you're being fed. That's all knowledge that you're being fed, and you find yourself unable to explore other things. And I'm wondering if, because we have this whole thing happening where this, like, I'd say, like, I've been, experiencing it within the last maybe 20-ish years, maybe a little less, around 20 years, where it's like this increase in nihilism, right? People feel as if there's less of a purpose in their life, right? Where like there's this whole like spiritual awakening thing happening, where people just aren't falling in line with religion, and they're having their doubts, and they're trying to express themselves more and not be like caged in by these restrictions of religion, or they're they have less, they feel like they have less purpose, like less of these traditional family values, where everybody has a role and therefore a purpose, and people are finding themselves without purpose constantly.
All right. Well, we'll look at it into it that way, right? So they're trying to find their sense of community, right? They're trying to find people of other, like, the same ideologies. They're trying to stick with it because it's a level of comfort, something they can cling on to, right?
Okay.
That's just
Yeah.
how humans have been kind of doing things there for a while, right? We find some community, whether it's
Well, I agree that the whole community aspect. No, I get that entirely. It's just that before, when you find a community, it's you find a place and these people in which to thrive. Yeah.
right.
But it seems like with these, different facets of identity, it feels like, where, like, how do you thrive in that? There's nothing, there's nothing to it. Like, there's no thriving in it. It's just a bunch of fussing and bitching about one thing or the other.
I feel they have to learn whether or not it is that way, right? They have to learn that people don't care to hear about the same whining and fussing about the same subject.
Okay, well, if they surround themselves with the same people with the same mindset,
You would hope that in that process of finding the same people with the same subject, they'd be like, this is kind of getting stale.
and finding a sense of equilibrium.
Right.
Right. No, that's the way it used to be, I feel. But now that we have, social media and places where these people with these single set mindsets, they never grow out of
I
it.
feel social media is a whole new ball game when we're talking about people looking for a sense of community. I mean, social media feeds into our the likes and the needing to be liked and knowing that so many people are already liking or sharing. And I mean, we're ones to talk, right? We're kind of participating in the social media platform, whether it's YouTube or Twitter.
That's true. I
So,
mean, yeah,
so yeah,
like,
hypocrites.
hey, we could participate and still fuss about it, right?
Right.
We're just
Right.
all we're trying
And
to do
I'm
is
just saying that I'm calling us out as hypocrites, and I know that eventually somebody else will turn around and say, "Because they're a bunch of hypocrites."
yeah, yeah.
So I'm just getting to it before somebody else does.
Okay, you're trying to just like cover our bases
That's
here.
right.
I get it. Yeah,
That's what I like to do. That's what torments me
little
at night.
little damage control. I like it.
Right,
I
right,
get
right.
I get behind that. Yeah,
Just to let you
absolutely.
know, I'm one step ahead.
Yeah.
I'm feeding my own ego. Leave me be.
We all know. Yeah, we all know that we're full of shit. I mean, I feel like you have to be if you were to start a podcast, and if it were to get anywhere or more than like 5 episodes, I feel like you have to be pretty full of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
We're just full of it.
Yeah, just keep spilling it, bud. Yeah. Man, so I mean, where are we?
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. We're a lot.
Yeah.
We're full of shit. It's just
You know what? That's a cool. That's a good. I like that.
yeah.
That's people are gonna wonder about that. Be like, oh, who are these guys? So like, self-aware
Oh,
that they're full of shit. That's refreshing, right?
I could get behind that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I like that. No, okay. So is there anything that you would say like a certain identity that you latch onto, or you found yourself latching onto over the years that you can identify with?
I honestly could not tell you. Because I get bored with certain things after a while, so I need to find something else that gets me going. Like if I hear the same thing over and over again, I will get bored with it. But that's a part of like me getting to know people. I know what they like, what they dislike, and if I notice that we're in a situation where that one person's going to be uncomfortable, I'm now uncomfortable because I know they're not going to like it.
Now, I do want to go back to the fact that of what I was saying about like having a certain amount of meaning. Can you agree that like finding a certain identity, to latch onto, that gives you a sense of purpose?
Finding your identity.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you were to identify with one of these, few things that we've named, Do you feel like it would give people a sense of purpose? Bringing awareness to these identities.
Yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
being understandable in some way.
Right. It's just a connection that I made personally that I I wanted to delve into because I thought it was pretty good. I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense in my head. Because I feel like, if we look at these people who that fall under one of these categories, and like the kind of high horse mentality that they have, not saying all, but like some of them have, and like they feel like they could speak down to other people in their ignorance or whatnot, what have you, on that topic. I feel like it gives them a sense of purpose, in which they can, in turn educate these ignorant people on whatever, category this is that they're speaking to. And yeah, it was something that I see growing, it's just more and more so the case, especially like with the younger people, right? Like that, I don't feel like that could be argued whatsoever. Like this lack of purpose in that people find in their lives, until they find something like this. Now it could be it's the same thing with religion. You see all these like success stories and stuff, right? Well, these people are like, oh, I was a drug addict and I was homeless, but then I found Jesus and I have a renewed sense of purpose, or something like that, right?
Right.
Where they feel like they're doing the will of God and they have this purpose in their life, therefore like like meaningfulness and a drive,
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like it's the same thing with all these different identities. It's akin to like religion.
Right.
So it's just like all these new religions in our society, like countless religions in our society that gives people purpose. Is that too far am I reaching too much? I feel like maybe I might be reaching too much. But it makes
Religion's
sense in my
also
head.
a whole nother topic, and that is a whole nother topic. I fear where that could go.
No, maybe we won't delve into that because I feel like that could get pretty touchy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, I do mention religion a lot for some reason. I don't know why.
I
Like
took notice a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, like it keeps coming up in arguments, right?
Are you trying to tell us something there, Meryl?
No. Wait, what would I be trying to tell?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. Oh gosh, man, maybe I need to like cool it down with that. Because I feel like people turn their noses up at it a lot.
Well, especially people who just don't have that interest at the moment, or
Like at what point do people get like alienate themselves from the conversation when it's mentioned? Right? Is it like the very initial?
it's when their eyes glaze over and they feel they can no longer follow, and they go, well, that's it. Which is
It's not like
easier
I'm
than
going into it.
it's easier than when you're in a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden you realize that you no longer care about the subject, so your eyes glaze over. But it would be absolutely rude if you just walked away. So you don't want to do that, but you just stand there in silence, and now it's awkward.
God, I hope. Okay, maybe we'll have to leave it up to the commenters to say like, do your eyes glaze over whenever Merle talks about religion in some sense? Are you offended? Are you intrigued?
Are you intrigued? Are you offended? Is it Merle who does all the offending, or is it Locke that does all the offending?
I feel like if anyone was doing any offending on this podcast, it would be Merle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because Merle talks more?
Merle talks a lot. Merle also talks in the third person.
That's
I don't know. I rant too much and too like when it comes to this ranting, right? I feel like the only way in which to accomplish it is to turn off the filter a bit.
Right.
Yeah? I feel
Well,
like that's the only way in which I can
it's
accomplish
a
this.
real way to get all ideas out there, pull anything
Yeah,
that we can use.
right.
Albeit we've had some moments where you might say something, I go, ooh, yikes.
Okay. Admittedly, there has been a few yikes moments. Yikes and moments.
To which
Yike
Locke
moments.
turns to Merle and goes, maybe we shouldn't.
Maybe we cut that out, you know? Yeah.
I don't think people would care for that too much.
No.
Merle, just really trying to test the boundaries.
Yeah, well, now you're making me self-conscious
No,
about it,
don't
and I
be
feel like I'm going to be more
self-conscious.
cautious.
I have to mess with you. Well, now I feel terrible for.
Well, just so everyone knows, this is why we can never do like a live episode of any kind.
Yeah.
Just the amount of stuff that Merle has to edit out of these episodes.
Maybe at some point we'll do a live.
Because Merle.
No. A Locke's gonna take over for live.
Okay. Locke.
Merle's gonna sit back and pretend to be Locke for a moment.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.